my friend, jingle, jingle, jingle into another Christmas quilt from me, Pat Sloan. So this is one of my favorites. I have it hanging sort of over the quilt rack in the quilt storage in my dining room at the moment. So I took it off of that to bring it in for you to see. This is the little Christmas houses, the Merry Christmas houses that is in my holiday book. And it was just so fun to do all those little houses. It's one of those things where one year we should do it together, like, you know, in November or something, because you can collect Christmas fabrics and it doesn't take much because if you only do the square in the window, it doesn't take much fabric. But it does have just such a fun way to use those special little pieces. All right, so that's where that quilt is. Now today I have just a plethora of items, just all kinds of different things, which I think these are fun days. I haven't had as many days like this recently because we've had a lot of sew-along stuff, but it's fun to be able to do a lot of things. So I have like in the news, some more Q&A, and we're just going to, and some updates on some things that are going on. And today, the first one is the color of the year from Pantone. So Pantone puts out a color of the year, and it is this year called Viva Magenta, which is not exactly this color. I would say Viva Magenta is a little bit more like this one. Close enough for me to wear my sweatshirt today, my Sloan Zone winter sweatshirt, because I love this plum color. But Viva Magenta, they every year do pick a color, and then that is used by stylists and all kinds of people across all kinds of industries to pick up and use in products. So that is kind of, you know, they're kind of an industry, Pantone is an industry color standard organization. I do believe a few of the fabric manufacturers, I know Kaufman puts out their own color of the year, which sometimes is like totally different. It doesn't look anything like the Pantone one, which I don't know, that might be confusing, but I just think this is a great color. I wonder whether you have made a quilt with magenta in it. So if you've made a quilt with magenta in it, share it today. If I have, it's not been like the primary color, but I do have my pink basket of fabric, my basket of pink fabric that I would love to do something pink. And I have been thinking about that for maybe for the block a day we do in March. In March, I started a couple years ago. Actually, I started in 2020 for COVID. I did a block a day, and we've continued since. So this will be our third year of a block a day. And I have the block picked out, and I'm debating on the colors to use. I haven't quite decided, but I have a lot of pink. So I always think, oh, that would be so fun to do it in pink. All right, so that is the Pantone color of the year, and they give you the exact Pantone number, which is an industry standard number, which is kind of fun to have. All right, a couple other things here. Today is Cookie Exchange Day. Now, I have rarely done cookie exchanges. Like when I worked in an office, I worked primarily in with a lot of men who were not into cooking and baking. I don't know why they weren't, because men can cook and bake just like women can, but my particular communities I worked with, this was not their thing. And so generally I was the person who baked. I baked and took it into work. So that's just how it was. And I loved to bake, and so it was really fun. So I didn't really exchange cookies with anybody. Maybe I've done it once, but I think it's such a marvelous idea. The other day when I had you go over to my kitchen group, Kitchen Adventures with Pat Sloan, people were sharing all their cookie things, and there is so much good stuff to look at there. Beautiful, just counters full of cookies. It just reminds me of when I would do that for my group, my staff at work, because I had quite a big staff, and I would make for the Christmas party just dozens and dozens of cookies, and it was just so fun to do. That was my creative outlet for like a week in December before the party. That was to make cookies. But I don't do that anymore because I don't really have a place to take that much. So anyways, cookie exchange. Go over to the kitchen group to talk about this, not in the quilt group, because we won't approve that post. But you can talk about it here at YouTube. You can tell me about your cookie exchanges. If you want to share pictures, go to the kitchen adventures. All right, I want to give you an update on Bras for the Cause. Amy sent me a note, and they've made a executive decision to extend it out a little bit, because there are so many groups that want to host the quilt that they couldn't fit everybody in, and not everybody met. So there's a lot of groups in the area where they are, a lot of quilt guilds, and those groups were not meeting or having a regular meeting in December where the quilt could visit them and they could sell raffle tickets. So, and then there were a couple shops, and it just was like there was too much and too many people who wanted to host the quilt for the deadline. So they decided to move the deadline out until let's see. They're going to move it out until, did I write down? Yeah, to February 10th, just before Valentine's Day. And here's a picture of some of the ladies. This is what the lady selling the tickets is Pud Kearns, and she is a representative from Bras for the Cause, which is the organization that the raffle is supporting. And they were at a Chamber of Commerce event and selling tickets there. And so it will be going to a bunch of different places. So that is just so fun. Now there is, and I will put in the link down here for how to buy a raffle ticket. And so Amy has a way now all set up, so you can just go and do that if you want to. So let me give you an update on the Quilt Alliance Quilt Along. That has been on the calendar, and I just got some information. And so let me just give you what I know, and then I will repeat this later down the road, because now it does not start in January. It starts a little bit later. But this is there'll be 9 blocks from 9 quite varied quilt makers. People who have been in the industry a super long time, people who have been in the industry less time, fairly new to the industry. So it is a wide variety, and there are just 9. So there are 9 blocks. It'll go 9 months. The whole big announcement for it will come in mid-February. And then the first block is in April. So that's why it'll move. And I'll put it on the calendar that it is starting in April, but you'll hear more about it again in February. You do need to be a Quilt Alliance member. Now, the Quilt Alliance is the organization where I went and was interviewed about an important quilt that I have. They are a group that is what they do. They are a nonprofit that is there to document and tell the stories of quilt makers. And it's just such a great organization. They have all kinds of interesting things going on. And so you'll check it out. I hope you will support them, keeping our quilt stories alive and recorded. That is what's so cool about it. And they have tons and tons and tons of recordings of people's stories about important quilts in their lives. So I've got the links for the Quilt Alliance below, so you can check that out. Okay, I have one mail call, and then we're going to do some Q&A, and we'll do quilts in the news. So this is from Maria in Florida. She sent me this card. Look how gorgeous. That's fabric. That's a quilted card. And she said it's done by a friend of hers, and this is her friend's business that does these quilted cards. She's a textile artist, but isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Look at the baby Jesus with the hay like quilted on there, and the star, and the little sheep is so stinking cute. Yeah, just gorgeous. So what she told me is that she had mentioned some traditional Spanish Christmas treats that she and her family have every year Christmas, and she says kind of up to New Year's, between Christmas and New Year. And so she wanted to send me some. And this is what they are. I have never heard of these. So I'm just excited. This one looks a little bit like Turkish Delight, if you know what that is. I'm not sure it is. It's just from the picture because it has the nuts and stuff. But I am very, very interested in trying all of those. And so they're Spanish. That's just so cool. Thank you very much. Mwah. All right, let's have some Q&A here. All right, let's do the quilts in the news. The first Quilts in the News is from Blair, and it is at the Skirball Cultural Center in the Los Angeles area of California. And it runs until March of 2023. And they are hosting Fabric of a Nation, and that is an exhibit by a multiple group of textile artists who are all came together and they wrote a book. So here's a picture of one of the quilts, and I have a link to the exhibit and a link to the book. And this has been traveling to a lot of museums, this exhibit, so you may have heard about it, and this would be your opportunity if you are in the LA area sometime until March of 2023. Okay, the second one is the media people at Colonial Williamsburg sent me a press release. So it's so nice to be on their press release, and they know that I just do quilting stuff. It's called Stitched in Time, American Needlework. And so there actually is one with primarily quilts. I'll have this vintage hexagon quilt is one of the pictures off their website. They also have one with embroidery. So if you love embroidery, and with woven coverlets. So they have some woven coverlets as well. So all of these things will be out, and they're at the at the DeWitt, and I think also at the Aldrich Rockefeller Folk Art Museum. I mean, that's the one that I went years ago to that museum and interviewed the curators. So that they always have, they almost always have some quilts exhibiting there, and so that'll be open for a little while. They just brought it out at the beginning of December. Okay, Q&A. Just a couple of Q&A. Some of these are starting to be a little bit older, but I think they're all still relative. And I'm trying to get through this older list that I collected that I never did anything with. Sorry. I hope you got your answers, months ago. But first of all, FT asked, do I cross stitch in a hoop? No. I tried it. I tried to use the Q frame, the snap Q frame, but I was struggling and realized, I don't hoop anything. I don't hoop to hand quilt. I don't hoop to hand embroider. I don't hoop to do any handwork. So I don't use a hoop. I use when I show you this is what I'm using. This is how it is. So I do not hoop at all. And a lot of people don't hoop. There's no rule that you have to have a hoop. So if you're finding that using one is not working for you, if you're feeling like you're just not getting anywhere, try doing it without the hoop. Maybe that will be the answer for you as well as it was for me. So here I am. I've got the next flower done. So excited. But what I also did while we're on that, since you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you, this was one of the zippy pouches I was sent recently. Isn't that cute? So here's the zippy pouch. Well, I had all of the flosses for the flea market flowers. I keep wanting to call it flower power. Flea market flowers. I had them just in the Ziploc that they came in, like the bag that they came in, and it was irritating because the bag was not wide enough. They looked beautiful when they came, but as soon as you took one out, you couldn't make them all go back in there neatly, and it was going to be a mess. And so I thought, oh, I'm just going to get one of these bags and lay them flat. And so now I can open this and get one out and get more thread easily. So I'm so happy to have thought of that. Okay, what we also have from Roddy Sue. She says she would like to learn to cross stitch, but is there a way to do this easily? Yes, there is. The Fat Quarter Shop has a whole Learn to Cross Stitch series with an adorable little house. Here is a picture of it. This little house is so cute, and I will link you below here. It is also on my I Love to Make Quilts website, my Sew Along website. There's a cross stitch page. If you go to that, there's the link to the Cross Stitch University videos that Kimberly Jolly at the Fat Quarter Shop did. And I believe that house pattern might be free. If it's not free, it doesn't cost very much. Maria asked, I showed a while back now, and I'll pop the picture up again. So this picture is my mother-in-law's chunky churn dash, and she asked, did I ever make a pattern for this? And it's like, no, I never did. It's a churn dash. It's just a little oversized, a little chunky. I'd have to get it out and measure it. So I don't know. I mean, you all think that that's unique enough that you want me to write that up? Let me know in the comments here at YouTube. Okay, and then Vicki has the the question of the day. Yeah, this is a mess, really. But she says, how do I store my rulers? She also wants to know scissors and rotary cutters. Okay, so that is, I have a very small space in here, and I have to keep things sometimes in multiple places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other camera, and I will show you the multiple spots that these things are kept in. None of them are very far. They're all in this room. They're all here. They're just in a couple of spots because there's no spot that's big enough to hold it all, and it actually doesn't make sense for them to be all together at all. So I'm going to show you that. Let's go. We'll start here. I know that I've shown this before, but it's fun to show it again. Here are some of the oversized rulers. You can see them all kinds of things stacked in here in the koala table. So if you have a Koala Studios table like I do, you can get custom drawers, and this is your pegboards if you have hoops or things you want to do for embroidery, but I use it for my ruler storage. Now I also have lots of things stored in these 3 drawers. This is another koala unit. They don't make this one anymore, but I have thread in the front and small rulers in the back. So this is way deep down, you know. Oh my goodness, yeah, there's a lot in there. Lots and lots of small rulers, and I have scissors in there, but I have scissors other places as well. Whoops, not just there. I have scissors here and here, plus, let's go over here. I have on this rolling assistant more scissors. Most of my rotary cutters are here. More smaller rulers that I use all the time. These 2 I use all the time, but I don't want them up on my desk because I don't use them as often as a 6.5-inch square. So then we come up to the table, which, ta-da, sweater weather, organizing. So this ruler stays up here all the time, 6.5-inch ruler, and then my last rule and a rotary cutter, and then the last ruler are down there. And these, besides the 6.5-inch, these are the next ones that I use, which is a square, a 12-inch square, the 24 by 6.5, and the, what is it, 12.5 by 6.5. Yeah, that guy. So those 3 stay here because this is where I use them. If you really want to see scissors, the little scissors are all in there with lots and lots of notions, but no rulers. I don't keep any rulers in there. So I don't know how you felt about that, but if it looks like your place, high five. If you want to show your rotary cutter and ruler storage, go right ahead in the quilt group or tell about it at YouTube in the comments section. All right, my friend, will be another video tomorrow, and that will be I will then take a break for a couple days during the holidays, and the video, so we'll have a video on Friday and then again on Tuesday. So we'll have a couple days off there for me to enjoy some downtime. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being in the Sloan Zone. You can get one of these. I will see you online.